Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still trading just underneath this major area of resistance, but I've just added a small amount to my Bitcoin long position, which I'll explain exactly why in just a moment, and my exact Bitcoin trading strategy, showing you how to make a lot of money from the next Bitcoin move, while the Bitcoin dominance is now breaking below a very important area of support, which is very good news for the altcoin market, causing Ethereum to break out further towards the upside, as we've just broken the all-time record for inflows into the Ethereum ETFs, but we still have a possible warning signal to watch out for, while the price of Chainlink is continuing to explode further towards the upside after just performing a perfect retest of this previous area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, we need to take a look at some news today because we just had new CPI inflation numbers being released, and basically the expectation going into this release was 2.8% year over year is the expected number, but the number actually came in at 2.7% year over year CPI inflation. And in case you're new to all of this, essentially this is seen as bullish for the markets because basically all you really need to know, obviously I can go into a bit more detail and I have done in previous videos, but all you really need to know is if we see lower than expected when it comes to inflation numbers, that's considered bullish for markets. If we see higher than expected, that's considered bearish. And if we see what we expected, that's considered neutral. And so with this number being slightly lower than what was expected, once again, 2.8% the expected and 2.7% is what we got. Once again, that is a little bit bullish for the markets in the short term because it's still close to expectations, but just slightly under, so slightly bullish. And so what this means is that it's now very likely we will end up seeing a rate cut, so reducing interest rates at the next FOMC meeting or Fed meeting, and this will be happening on the 17th of September. And as we can see right now, the futures market is currently pricing in for around a 94% chance of an interest rate cut, so reducing interest rates by 0.25% or 25 basis points, and only about a 6% chance of keeping interest rates at the same level at this next Fed meeting in mid-September. And really all you need to know about interest rates to do with markets is essentially the lower the interest rates are, the more lending activity happens, the more loans are actually happening, which basically increases the money supply, pumping markets with more money or more liquidity. So this goes for real estate, for stocks, for crypto, essentially pushing up prices when interest rates are lower. And then on the other hand, when interest rates gets raised, like for example in 2022, of course that was bearish for a lot of markets, especially stocks and crypto were very bearish during 2022 when we were seeing a lot of rate hikes, increasing interest rates. And so once again, all of this is currently bullish news, lower than expected CPI inflation, and almost certainly, no such thing as a guarantee, but very likely an interest rate cut coming in the next Fed meeting in September. Once again, bullish for markets. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart on the weekly time frame, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And of course, on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have that bearish divergence to watch out for. But once again, this is not a short-term signal. This is a longer-term signal, as in telling us what we might be expecting over the next multiple months. And so it is possible we could see a little bit more of a short-term bullish movement like what we saw over the last 1 week or so. Once again, we can see short-term bullish price action over a matter of days or even up to a matter of weeks, even while this larger bearish divergence actually plays out maybe over, let's just say September, October, etc. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, we're still kind of lacking momentum to either direction, as seen here in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD. And so essentially based on this chart right here, this is telling us we should not necessarily expect a massive move on the larger timeframes like what we saw back here during basically the end of April entering into early May, to the upside or to the downside like what we saw back in around February this year. It's unlikely we'll see a major move like that, at least right now, based on the current momentum. And so once again, Bitcoin can play out these shorter term moves, short-term bullish move, short-term bearish move, but it's unlikely we'll see a very high momentum movement on the larger timeframes, at least not right now. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, we're still trading just underneath this major area of resistance, still sitting in between roughly 120,000 towards around 122k, 123k, basically in that entire area right there in the lower 120k area, we have a lot of resistance for the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, as we've seen many times over the last multiple weeks here. And so obviously continue to expect the price to struggle in this area, especially once we get back above 120,000. Really, once we enter that 120k area, that's where I'd expect the price to struggle a lot and possibly reject from, as we just saw here in the short term over the last 1 to 2 days. And of course, in terms of support, we still have a lot of support right here at 112,000. And I'd also expect some support right around here, sitting at around 117,000. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 8-hour Bitcoin price chart, obviously in the short term, after that latest rejection from this strong resistance here, we basically cooled off the RSI on the 8-hour time frame from overbought, is what we saw at the peak right here, to now much more neutral levels in the RSI, which technically now gives us a little bit more room towards the upside again to possibly continue this short-term bullish trend. Because once again, just looking at these smaller time frames here, like the 8-hour time frame, at least as of right now, and as I've been saying for almost a week now, we're technically within just a short-term bullish trend, causing obviously some higher lows and higher highs in the price action. Basically the exact opposite as what we saw a few weeks ago, a short-term bearish trend now into a new short-term bullish trend. And at least for now, we've not yet actually invalidated this short-term bullish price structure of higher lows and higher highs, even despite the latest rejection and short-term pullback. Obviously, we've not yet actually confirmed a new bearish trend on the 8-hour time frame, which means at least for now, it is possible that this is just a little pullback to continue this bullish trend here on the 8-hour time frame, kind of like what we saw just here or just here, for example. And so due to this reason right here, and due to the fact that of course we've reset the RSI, technically it's still in bullish price structure on the 8-hour time frame, and also due to the fact that we had that bullish news today with the CPI inflation results basically securing a rate cut next month, due to all of these reasons, I've slightly added to my Bitcoin long position over the last 1 day. And so obviously if you've been following my channel over the last 1 week or so, you'll pretty much know about this Bitcoin long position by now. But in case you're new to the channel, essentially I opened this trade basically once we started confirming bullish price structure and a new bullish trend here on the 8-hour time frame, on the smaller time frames, which was right around here at give or take 115,000. And then I added to that trade right around here, bringing it up to a $1 million Bitcoin long position, trading, getting ready for that next bullish move, which ultimately played out as I predicted. And then of course around 121,000 towards 121,000 around there. That's exactly where I took a lot of profits off the table, basically reducing this all the way down towards around a $200,000 trade, which I shared in my last video, taking a lot of profits. And you can see that right here, securing over $24,000 in realized profits. But now that we've seen that short-term rejection from this resistance, resetting the RSI a little bit, once again, due to those reasons I just mentioned earlier, I've just slightly added to the position again, bringing it back up towards around a $350,000 Bitcoin long position, and still having my stop loss sitting in profits above my entry. And so obviously, because I've added to this position above my entry price, that has brought my entry price further towards the upside. But once again, overall, my stop loss is still sitting in profits. So even in the worst case scenario, if we just continue dumping for whatever reason, that'll just hit the stop loss and automatically close the trade at that level in some slight profits on top of already that secured at $24,000 in profits. And in terms of take profit levels or price targets for this Bitcoin long position, as I've been saying throughout this entire trade for almost a week now, essentially I'll be targeting key points of resistance along the way towards the upside, especially around 120k towards 122k. In that area right there, I'll still take a decent amount of profits from this trade. So once again, that's exactly what I did just around 1 or 2 days ago, right at this peak right here. Took a lot of profits out of this trade, as you can see right here, and then entered at this low right here. But then if we basically retest these highs, come back up towards around 120k, 121k, 122k, anywhere in that area, I'll look to once again reduce the size of the trade, securing even more profits. But I'll not necessarily close the entire trade, just reducing the size of the trade, securing some profits, but once again, still overall remaining long, just in case the price ultimately breaks through that resistance and continues pumping into new all-time highs. Of course, I'll just keep some of a long position in case we actually play out that scenario. And so basically, I'm explaining the exact same thing as what I said just a few days ago before that bullish move from around 117,000 towards around 122,000. Basically, I'm saying the exact same thing. We might end up seeing maybe another little push towards the upside here, and then I'll look towards those areas to take some more profits, but then once again, not necessarily closing the entire trade. So basically a repeat of what I just did over the last few days. And if you want to take trades just like this for yourself to make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market, like what I'm doing right now, of course, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page out here where you can claim some massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, up to $40,000 in trading bonuses. And also, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your BitNX account. This is basically free money from the exchange, which you can actually use to trade crypto over on BitNX. But these bonuses here are only available if you use that link below this video to actually make your BitNX account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using that first link below this video to take advantage of these major bonuses here. And in case you're wondering, BitNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BitNX as an exchange, there's also PioNex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. And I've talked about this exchange for years now on the channel. I talked about it over a year ago now on the channel. It's still one of the top exchanges out there for trading crypto, and especially if you're into trading bots, which I'll talk more about in the coming days and weeks here. And so essentially you could set up certain trading bots and also copy trading, where it's very passive trading. It's not so much active trading, which you can check out once again, second link below this video to PioNex. And in case you're wondering, yes, you can access PioNex without KYC, but of course, if you do KYC, you can increase your limits, like withdrawal limits, trading limits, etc. if you KYC over on PioNex. And so once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, like what I'm doing right now, you may as well check out the exchange's links below this video to take advantage of those major bonuses and other features like trading bots. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, at least for now, we've already wiped out that major level of liquidity at give or take 120,000, but we still have a small amount of liquidity now starting to build at around 122k to 123k. And we also have a small amount starting to build at around 110k to 112k. So keep that in mind as well. But for now, the liquidity that is closer to the price is obviously this level at close to 123,000. And so it is possible the price could continue maybe another little bullish move like this to continue this short-term bullish trend, considering at least as of recording this video, we've not yet actually invalidated this bullish price structure in the short term. And once again, considering that good news today, there's not really much of a reason as to why we should see a massive dump right now, which is why I added to my Bitcoin long position just recently. But remember, even when it comes to trading, even if we're relatively confident in a move, of course, it is always important to have risk management in mind. Like, for example, this stop loss that I have above my entry, so that even in the worst case scenario, if that just happens, obviously, I'll still make profits from this trade. And so that is my exact trading strategy for the price of Bitcoin, showing you exactly how I'm making a lot of easy profits in the crypto market right now. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance on the 3-day time frame, the Bitcoin dominance is now continuing a break below this very important area of support, which was sitting in between around 60.5% to 61% in the Bitcoin dominance. And so obviously, if this breakdown continues in the Bitcoin dominance, this is very good news for the altcoin market, because basically when we see a major dump like this in the Bitcoin dominance, that's essentially also known as an altcoin season, because when the Bitcoin dominance is dumping, Bitcoin's losing market share, which is not necessarily bearish for the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin can still go towards the upside even if the Bitcoin dominance is dumping. What this means is just the altcoins on average are doing better than whatever Bitcoin is doing. In other words, an altcoin season, the altcoins having massive gains. And of course, in the shorter term here, for roughly 1 to 2 weeks, we did see a bit of a bounce from this area of support in the short term in the Bitcoin dominance. And while that was happening, that was bad news for the altcoin market, as I was saying back then. But once again, as I've been saying the entire time, if we break below this area of support, that will be very bullish for the altcoin market, and we're already starting to see that right now. And so definitely keep an eye on what the Bitcoin dominance is doing here, because obviously if we continue this breakdown here, that's very good for the altcoin market. And just before taking a look at the Ethereum price chart today, we need to take a look at some Ethereum news today, because just over the last one day, we have made history for the spot Ethereum ETFs, because the numbers for Monday have just come in for the Ethereum ETFs for the inflows and outflows here. And first of all, as I've recorded in this video, we've seen no outflows confirmed for Monday and only inflows here. And first of all, we saw a record inflow into the BlackRock spot Ethereum ETF, a record inflow into the Fidelity Ethereum ETF, and obviously a bunch of other inflows here, totaling a record net inflow of over $1 billion coming into the Ethereum ETFs just in one single trading day, just on Monday. And so we could see here, this is the highest amount that has ever happened in the Ethereum ETFs. The best day on record was indeed Monday, and this may end up being beaten maybe later in this week if we continue to see these crazy numbers here. But so far, Monday is the best day on record for the Ethereum ETF. So of course, this is causing a lot of buying pressure here coming in through the ETFs, coming in through Wall Street, obviously pushing the price of Ethereum much higher after we've just now confirmed the breakout above this very important area of resistance. And so honestly, I would not be surprised if we continue to see a major pump here towards $5,000. At least right now, yes, I'll be targeting roughly $5,000 as the next major target towards the upside. Now, it is possible that maybe between now and then we see some sort of pullback of some sort in the shorter term, but overall, in terms of the larger move, the larger momentum, the price structure on these larger timeframes, at least for now, we're still looking extremely bullish here with a price target of roughly 5,000. Basically, the old all-time high is obviously just underneath 5,000. So I'll now be targeting that level, as I've been saying I would basically since before we saw this breakout here. I said if we break out above this area, expect a major bullish move to continue towards 5,000. But if we're zooming into the daily Ethereum price chart, there is still a possible bearish divergence forming right now. So something to pay attention to, but not currently confirmed, because at least for now, we've not really confirmed this lower high in place in the daily Ethereum RSI. So yes, we clearly have higher highs in the price and lower highs forming in the RSI, but once again, not currently confirmed. I want to make that clear. And as I mentioned in my last video here on the channel, even if this confirms on the daily Ethereum price chart, in that situation, we may end up seeing just a bit of a short-term cool-off, maybe a pullback of some sort, like what we saw just here, maybe for a week, give or take, before maybe continuing the larger bullish trend later on, kind of like what we saw back here, because it's still very much clear that the larger trend, once again, is currently bullish, and that would only be if we confirm this bearish divergence once again, which for now is not currently confirmed. So overall, Ethereum is still looking very bullish, especially on the larger timeframes. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, this is the ETH BTC chart on the daily timeframe. There's also still a potential bearish divergence forming right now. Not really confirmed as of recording this video, but still, once again, waiting for a bit more confirmation. But yes, we still have higher highs in the price and lower highs forming in the RSI. Just once again, waiting for some more confirmation here. And so, like I said in my last video, if this ultimately confirms, then that may mean that Ethereum would be temporarily underperforming Bitcoin. So not necessarily bad for the price of Ethereum, but essentially Bitcoin would be doing better than Ethereum if the ETH BTC chart confirms this bearish divergence and maybe plays out a slight cool off. But remember, also pay attention to what the Bitcoin dominance is doing, because honestly, if this just continues dumping here, if the Bitcoin dominance dumps and further breaks to the downside below this area right here, in that situation, it's actually quite likely that a lot of the altcoin market, Ethereum included, will simply be outperforming Bitcoin. So honestly, just pay attention to what the Bitcoin dominance is doing here. If this is bearish, that's very good news for the altcoin market. And obviously the larger price structure for Ethereum still looking very bullish right now. And in terms of support, if for whatever reason we see any little pullback here, I would expect a lot of support in this region in between around 3.9k to 4.1k. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, honestly, Solana is looking slightly bullish when we're talking about the shorter term price structure here, but we're really lacking momentum for Solana to both directions. We're not looking overly bullish or overly bearish right now. So if we see a bit of bullish price action or a bit of bearish price action, honestly don't really expect a lot of follow through for the price of Solana. And so in other words, don't really expect a massive bullish move or massive bearish move, at least right now, because we're simply lacking the momentum. The price is kind of just consolidating in a bit of a sideways price range. And in terms of support and resistance to watch out for, I would expect a lot of support at around 167 to 170, more support at around 156, and more support in between around 143 to 146. And in terms of resistance, I'd expect some resistance at just above 180, but really in between around 190 to 200 as the significant area of resistance to watch out for. And overall, honestly, just pay attention to what Ethereum and other altcoins are doing, and especially the Bitcoin dominance, to figure out what is likely going to happen for Solana. So of course, if the Bitcoin dominance continues dumping here, especially while Bitcoin holds up pretty well in the short term, while we see a dump in the Bitcoin dominance, overall expect at least some bullish price action for Solana and a lot of the altcoin market. But Solana, especially right now, is just lacking the momentum. And if we're taking a look at XRP on the weekly time frame, at least for now, we still have a major bearish divergence technically confirmed on the weekly XRP price chart, with higher highs already confirmed in the price and lower highs already confirmed in the weekly XRP RSI. So keep that in mind when we're talking about maybe the next couple of months. We could still end up seeing potentially a major pullback or a larger slowdown of some sort for the price of XRP, maybe later this month, maybe September, October, that sort of thing. But of course, the short-term price structure can also be driven by, for example, what Ethereum is doing, what the Bitcoin dominance is doing, etc. So once again, as I've been saying throughout the video and many videos here on the channel, if we continue this dump in the Bitcoin dominance, at least while this is happening in the shorter term, this can be good news for XRP. And so far, just in the immediate short term, XRP is now experiencing a bit of a bounce back towards the upside as we're seeing that dump in the Bitcoin dominance. And so even if we're still possibly seeing a larger bearish price structure, still looking quite similar right now to what we saw near the beginning of this year, once again, in the immediate short term over the coming hours or days, it is possible we could see a little bit more of a short-term bullish relief, maybe retesting this resistance here in between around $3.35 to $3.40 as a major area of resistance to watch out for. And as for support to watch out for, I'd expect a lot of support at give or take $3.15 to $3.10, and obviously right now we're pretty much exactly bouncing from that area of support. But if we break below around $3.10, in that situation, expect a lot of support at around $2.90 and closer towards $3 here as major support, and below that more support at $2.75 and significant support in between $2.56 to $2.62 if the price actually gets there. But once again, at least for now, my current expectations for XRP just in the shorter term is if we see a little bit more of a dump in the Bitcoin dominance, honestly, it is quite likely that in the immediate short term, we see a little bit more of a bullish relief, a slight little bounce back towards the upside, maybe to retest this resistance here. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, Chainlink is continuing the major breakout above this massive area of resistance on the price chart. First of all, in case you're new to the channel, this area of resistance was sitting in between roughly $20 to $21. And I've been saying this entire time since before this breakout, I said, if we confirm a breakout above at least $20, ideally confirming a breakout above $21, in that situation, expect a massive continued bullish move for the price of Chainlink towards roughly $24 as the next major price target. And so the moment we confirm that first daily candle close above $21, well above $21, that technically confirmed this breakout here. And then of course, over the last couple of days, the couple of days following that confirmed breakout here, we actually saw a slight little pullback in the short term in the price of Chainlink, simply just retesting this previous area of resistance to confirm it as new support. And I've been saying this entire time, once again, I'll now expect a lot of support at around $21 in this area, in between $20 to $21. And obviously that is exactly what played out. As soon as we retested $21, we pretty much perfectly bounced from $21, the level of support I've been talking about. And the moment we started to bounce from that level, that was just another confirmation signal to further confirm this bullish breakout here and set up that next major price target. So obviously this could have potentially been a major trading opportunity if you're paying attention. And I've said many times over the last multiple weeks for the price of Chainlink that honestly great trading opportunities have happened many times here for the price of Chainlink, simply based on these levels on the price chart. My exact levels that I've placed on the price chart months ago now are obviously being respected very nicely in terms of support right here and also resistance. And so a very simple trading strategy for Chainlink that I've been saying throughout throughout the weeks, throughout the last months, basically, is once we, for example, break below a key point of support here on the price chart, basically short a move towards the next point of support and then take profits there, or once we break out back above a key level on the price chart, basically long Chainlink towards the next key level and start to take profits closer towards that next key level on the price chart, acting as resistance. And so essentially trading between these levels on the price chart, so shorting if we break down or longing if we break up, so far over the last few weeks has been working out very nicely if you've been following the channel and trading these altcoins here like Chainlink. And so this is why you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange like what I'm doing right now to make a lot of profits in the crypto market. And once again, if you use those links below this video to those exchanges, you can claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. But with that being said, getting back to Chainlink, once again, right now I am targeting $24, as I've been saying throughout the last few days here. Since we broke out above $21, the target is now $24. But then it is possible we do find some resistance around $24, so keep that in mind. Obviously, we are approaching this level, so sometime soon we could start to find resistance, which means the price might just start to struggle a little bit or possibly see a slight rejection from roughly $24, give or take, based on this key Fibonacci level. And in terms of the larger price structure here, the longer term trend for Chainlink, at least as of right now, is still very much bullish. Clearly, the price has a lot of momentum right now, basically the opposite to Solana, lacking momentum. Chainlink right now has a lot of momentum on the price chart. And if we're taking a look at the daily Chainlink price chart, there is still a possible bearish divergence forming right now, but not currently confirmed. And so I want to make this clear, this is not confirmed right now. It's just something to watch out for in case it ultimately confirms. Maybe if we run into this next point of resistance, struggle a little bit, that could ultimately confirm maybe in the coming days or weeks. So once again, something to watch out for in case it confirms, because the last time we saw a bearish divergence confirm on the daily Chainlink price chart, something like this, for example, obviously we did see a decent pullback following that previous bearish divergence. But once again, as I've said many times, this is not yet confirmed. So overall, we're still targeting this bullish price target, and overall, the momentum is still very much bullish for the price of Chainlink. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto like what I'm doing right now, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto like what I'm doing right now to make a lot of profits in the market no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.